But when critics say you can't do this, your answer to them is,
we've done it.
SpaceX has completely disrupted the space launch business and has great achievements since its first successful launch in 2008. In this video, we will talk about the most important rocket launches of the company. Hey everyone and welcome to the book club. This is Elon Musk's week. We talk about his journey from South Africa to the USA and from being a bullied child to becoming the wealthiest man in the world. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any videos from this series. In our previous video, we talked about the early years of SpaceX, their struggles, and finally the successful launch of their Falcon 1 rocket. If you are new here, we highly recommend you to go back and check out that video. Otherwise, let's go on. On 13 July 2009, Falcon 1 was sent to space for the fifth and last time. Then SpaceX started to build their first Dragon capsule for the cargo missions, as well as developing a rocket with 9 engines instead of just one called Falcon 9, which could carry 17 times more mass than Falcon 1 could. For launching Falcon 9, SpaceX wanted to move its operations to a US military base. But before moving they had to pass a lot of checks to make sure that Falcon 9's launch will not meet the same end as the first Falcon 1 launch. On 4 June 2010, they successfully launched the Falcon 9 on their first attempt. The only problem was that after entering orbit, for some unknown reason, the Dragon capsule, which was deployed into orbit by the Falcon 9, went into a spin. But this problem was corrected on the later launches. Falcon 9 was a major success, and the reason for this success was that SpaceX could show how cost-effective they were able to do this project. NASA did a study to see how much would it cost for them to develop something like Falcon 9. And they put a price tag of around $3.6 billion. While for SpaceX, it only cost $300 million to develop the Falcon 9. From 2010 on, SpaceX has made great milestones with each of their launches. Their unmanned Dragon returned to Earth on December 2010, and on 25 May 2012, the Dragon successfully docked on the ISS. Developing the technology to be able to land a spacecraft was one of the main reasons Elon Musk originally founded SpaceX. Knowing that the consensus on Mars was that it would be prohibitively expensive to send humans there with the technology of the time, and Elon Musk set out to improve that technology. For this purpose, one of the key improvements needed was the ability to reuse large parts of the spacecraft that would otherwise disintegrate in orbit. The first step to making this possible was landing an orbital first-stage rocket. SpaceX achieved this feat in 2015 with its historic first unmanned upright landing on land. Only a year after its first successful vertical landing, and after several failed attempts, the company achieved its first successful landing of a rocket booster on a drone ship in 2016. But landing a rocket is only part of the equation when it comes to reusability and reducing the expense of space travel. NASA had previously reused space shuttles, but never rocket boosters. But on March 30, 2017, SpaceX relaunched its Falcon 9 rocket with a satellite on board and successfully recovered it again by landing it on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. And SpaceX became the first company ever to reuse a rocket. After proving that they could reuse their rockets, SpaceX demonstrated that they were also able to reuse its Dragon capsule. On June 3, 2017, the company launched a Falcon 9 rocket with a previously used Dragon capsule on board. It was SpaceX's 11th mission to bring supplies to the ISS. The Dragon capsule that was reused had originally been used in the 4th ISS mission. The fact that the structure that will enable humans to travel in space can be reused is considered a great step towards making the journey to Mars possible. Then it was the time for the Falcon Heavy, which was first launched in 2018. Falcon Heavy has 27 engines, and it was the most powerful rocket to have taken off from the US since the Saturn V, from NASA's Apollo heyday. The Falcon Heavy demo mission was the first time that a pair of recycled boosters helped send a heavy payload to space. Only 8 minutes after launch, the same two Falcon Heavy side boosters returned and landed simultaneously at adjacent landing pads at Cape Canaveral. On May 30, 2020, SpaceX made history when it returned human spaceflight capabilities to the United States. SpaceX launched the first pair of NASA astronauts to the International Space Station under the agency's Commercial Crew program, which aims to perform frequent crewed flights to space from American soil. The historic mission, called Demo 2, launched NASA astronauts Robert Behnken and Douglas Hurley aboard the Crew Dragon Endeavour spacecraft atop a Falcon 9 rocket that lifted off from Launch Pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida. NASA had not launched astronauts to the space station since the Space Shuttle was grounded in 2011. SpaceX ignited a new era in American space flight. After the successful launch, Musk wholeheartedly stated,
in what has culminated in this incredible launch today of getting astronauts back to orbit after almost a decade, I think this is something that should really get people, right on the heart of anyone who has any spirit of exploration. I'm really quite overcome with emotion on this day. It's kind of hard to talk, frankly. It's been 18 years working towards this goal.
After 63 days at ISS, the Demo 2 mission ended with a successful Crew Dragon splashdown that demonstrated SpaceX's spacecraft is reliable to transport humans safely to and from the space station. NASA certified Crew Dragon for routine operational missions. On November 15, 2020, SpaceX launched its second crewed mission to the orbiting laboratory. The mission, known as Crew 1, is the first operational mission under NASA's Commercial Crew program that launched an international crew of 4 astronauts. Crew 1 lifted off atop a Falcon 9 rocket aboard the Crew Dragon Resilience spacecraft from Launch Pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida. After a 27-hour-long voyage, Crew Dragon Resilience successfully docked autonomously to the space station's Harmony module at 11:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on November 16, carrying NASA astronauts Michael Hopkins, Victor Glover, Shannon Walker, and Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Soichi Noguchi. The inspiring mission is still ongoing, and Crew 1 astronauts are expected to work at the station for 6 months before returning aboard the spacecraft. Now SpaceX is developing the Starship launch vehicle at the South Texas launch facility in Boca Chica Beach, where multiple prototypes of the spacecraft are undergoing testing. Each prototype is referred to by a serial number SN. Up until now, Starship SN1, SN3, and SN4 exploded during pre-flight preparations. SN2 and SN7 served as proof test vehicles. On August 4, 2020, SpaceX conducted Starship SN5's debut test flight. The stainless steel vehicle conducted a low-altitude test. It soared 150 meters into Boca Chica Beach's sunny sky and landed flawlessly, powered by a single Raptor engine. The successful flight enabled engineers to push Starship's development further. By September 3, just a month from launching SN5, SpaceX completed another low-altitude test flight of a twin Starship prototype in South Texas. The Starship SN6 test vehicle performed a similar flight, lifting off 150 meters and deployed a set of 6 legs to perform a controlled landing on a nearby pad. With 2 successful landings, SpaceX engineers gained the confidence to push Starship's development further and conducted the first high-altitude test flight in December 2020. On December 9, 2020, SpaceX accomplished performing the first high-altitude test flight with the Starship SN8 prototype. They launched Starship SN8 approximately 50,000 feet into Boca Chica's sky. It was the first vehicle that lifts off to such heights with 3 engines. During the epic flight test, SpaceX tested the vehicle's aerodynamic flaps with an impressive belly flop dive maneuver. The maneuver is important towards Starship's development. It is how the spacecraft will move to enter a planet's rough atmosphere before landing. The test flight lasted around 7 minutes, in which Starship used its aerodynamic flaps to glide itself down Boca Chica's sky. SN8 was capable of reorienting itself to a vertical position to prepare for a landing. But upon landing, the vehicle exploded. After several delays and a dust-up with the Federal Aviation Administration over its launch license, SpaceX launched the Starship SN9 from its Boca Chica facility on 2 February 2021. The three-engine rocket flew to an altitude of 6.2 miles, shutting off its three engines in sequence as it climbed higher. It then began a long fall back to Earth, as its predecessor SN8 did during a test flight in December 2020. As it came in for a landing, SN9 executed a landing burn to orient itself vertically for a touchdown, then appeared to land hard and not quite vertical, exploding on impact just as SN8 did. SpaceX still considers the test a success and will continue to gather data for future test flights that will eventually take the prototypes to orbit. Each Starship test in South Texas takes the company one step closer towards achieving its ambition to colonize Mars. We will see more epic test flights at Boca Chica in the coming months, all leading to Starship carrying the next humans that will set foot on the moon and the first crew that will settle on Mars. Thanks, book lovers, for watching the video till the end. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our future videos.